Hi everyone. Okay, today we have an interesting subject. It makes a chain of the episodes that we started a week ago almost. It's about Abrahamic religions, of course, and it's a special specifications and aspect that I'll be talking about. Now, the three Abrahamic religions believe in oneness of God Creator. Christians, they do justify the Trinity to mean one, which is physically and mathematically incorrect and contradictory. But let's for now accept their justification. Now, the core of the values of those Abrahamic religions is almost the same. Jews and Christians call it the Ten Commandments, while Islam and Muslims call it the straight path. All of them, they are preaching goodness and self-edification, and all three call for help and love one another, especially the less fortunate. Now, this is basic morality, of course. The Jews ended or stopped their belief with Moses. They rejected Jesus' message of being the Messiah because they think their promised Messiah is still yet to come. While a number of them accepted Jesus to be the one, which is the Messiah, they even elevated him to become godly, Son of God, and formulated the concept of Trinity and convinced many of it, altered in a special philosophy to mean one, three, whatever. Islam accepts and admits Jesus to be the Messiah, son of Mary, the Virgin, born miraculously, same as Christians do. So Jesus' coming was announced in the Old Testament, and Muhammad coming was announced in both Old and New Testament. In the Old Testament, in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18, and in Gospel of John in chapter 16, verse 12, 13, maybe 14 and 15 as well, related. Now, God sent those prophets with a common message, core and base. This means God's religion must be one. It makes sense, it's logical. But over the years, centuries actually, man made religion to be a business and created factional religions. Islam is Islam is supposed to bring together these factions, but unfortunately, man succeeded yet to fracture the religion into multiple factions. Today, we have many sects of Jews, similarly of Christians, and even more Muslims. It's only natural and human and maybe expressive of human mind and reasoning to have different logics and different convictions. But the nature of man is to defy everything, even defying the Creator, who created him, who created everything, etc. Now, Abraham was the first to realize everything is changing in this world, in this universe, in this life. Only the Creator is constant and permanent, doesn't change, the same. Of course, we don't see, we don't touch, we don't know how and where, but we feel. We feel it. We feel his being there, his existence all around us, and we know he's always the same, constant and permanent. It is an axiom in Islam to believe so, to say so, validating the oneness of God and the truthfulness of the reason of belonging to God's religion, which proved beneficial to mankind by returning to oneself to evaluate all this with convincingly contentment, with conviction, that is. When we go back to ourselves, we have to admit, or between us and ourselves, we know deep inside there's one God creator and one religion and so on. Now this is an indication and probably a proof to us or to any individual with this thinking and belief that of the existence of God and the deism that should be attributed to over the universe and creations, of course. But to do this rightfully, with the free will granted to us by God as a spiritual whiff, distinguishing myself from yourself, from herself, from himself, and so on, which is somehow our virtual individual. By doing so, distinguishing myself from yourself, from himself, it's like an ID. It's like an ID. Now, this ID can be either metaphorical, that can take different shapes, or authentic, reflecting the real and true ID we're talking about. Now, one ID, one self, that is, would allow us to sin or simply make mistake. The other performs as an alarm and incentive to seek righteous education, acquire parts of God's attributes, and stay connected with God, which means one good self, one bad self, if you want, just to put it in brief like this. So the right one would take us to be, or to get educated and acquire parts of God's attributes and stay connected with God. Now, this is human fulfillment of life. Reaching this point, it's a real fulfillment, like copying somehow the attributes of God, being as good as, not exactly, but in the sense. Now, I believe our status today as followers of Abrahamic religions is somehow competing to reach this goal, to prove ourselves with merit that we can be so, we can be good, etc. Now, this definitely, as proven over the centuries, cannot be done and achieved without suffering. It means life is not that easy. It's not like, a piece of cake or something like we say, but it's some hardship. The question is, can we take it? Can we do it? I'll leave that to you, and I thank you for joining in.